Hello everyone! In today's video, I'm going to create a double spread or double page layout featuring the Everyday Happiness collection, which has been introduced a while back, and it has these beautiful tones within the DSP. And today I want to use the beautiful gradient paper. It almost kind of gives the feel of a beach with the sand, the water, and kind of the horizon. There are a lot of different other patterns in this paper pack, so it's very diverse, and you can use it for a lot of different events. Let me fan it out here a little bit, but yeah, look how beautiful these colors are. And you get a sticker sheet, and also there's a couple like coordinating cardstock that comes with the paper collection. So I'm just gonna scooch this over and show you guys the photos I want to scrapbook today. So this is from our Pacific Northwest trip. We actually had one night where we stayed up pretty late to watch the sunset. So I have a bunch of beautiful photos, and I love how in a lot of them you have that yellow tone. So that fits really well with that wild wheat color that's in the paper collection. So I'm gonna just scooch these over and then take our two papers that we're gonna work with today and put these right here. All right, so for our layout, I'm gonna actually kind of follow a example that I've done a while back. I think it was the Cheers and Sips collection, where I was talking about using your embellishments as frames. In that layout, I didn't do like a complete frame just because the embellishments were so small. But today's layout, I do want to do that, and I want to use the Seaside Wishes bundle. It comes with a hybrid like die little folder. Let me take it out. So with this little folder, and then you can use that together with the die to run it through your die cutting machine, and it'll create some texture on your little elements. So that's really cool. And I want to use these dies to kind of create a frame around a center photo I'm going to have here on my left side, because I have one photo that's 5 by 7. So I did go ahead and prep that so you just don't have to look at everything on camera, but I went ahead and die cut out a bunch of these shapes using Pretty Peacock, Lost Lagoon, and Crumb Cake. So I just have all those prepped, and I am going to distress them a little bit, just add some more ink blending and maybe a couple of other things once we get started here, but I'm just going to already put these to the side, and then we can go ahead and use them in a little bit. Now, what I was planning on doing is to create a little bit of contrast. I actually really wanted to use the Pretty Peacock as like a large photo, or not photo mat, but like mat for our pages. However, and I always hate when that happens, but I just discovered I only have one piece and like a sliver of a piece. So I'm going to use Harbor, which is a close to my heart color, to create that contrasting background, because there's a little bit of green in here, so it does work really well with this paper. And then I'm going to use the Pretty Peacock paper, whatever I have left, to mat my photos, because I think that look really nice on the page, and I don't think it like looks weird with the darker background. So I'm gonna go ahead, and what I want to do is I want the mat to be pretty large, and I'm probably not going to have the mat come all the way around. So I want my paper to so the design DSP paper, I want it to come all the way up to the edge, and then I'm going to do something similar on the other side. So I'm going to take my cutter here, and I'm just going to do this not really measuring, I think, but what I will do is I'm going to gut out the center, and I'm quickly just going to show you guys what I mean with that. I know a lot of people do this regularly, but I just wanted to show for people who don't maybe know what I mean when I say gut out the center. So I use my ruler here, and I do this very, very haphazardly. Like, I don't really measure this up. Like, technically you could use the inch ruler on your cutter just to make a really neat square. I kind of just wing it. So for example, I know approximately this is where my cutting line is, so I line up my little end here of my cut I made, press down, bring it down. You just want to make sure you have enough. And now that I think of it, I'm gonna actually, hang on, I just want to see, because technically I'm actually gonna bring this all the way down, because I just want the outer edge do it on the flip side here too. So if I didn't want, so now I'm actually cutting this out because I actually just want these outer strips and I don't want it all the way across, but otherwise you would have just stopped and continued that process to get out that little inner square. And then sometimes my corners don't align exactly, so that's why I'll just snip these up just so I can take out my middle piece. So scooch this over. I'm just going to show you one, and then the other one I'm going to do off camera here. So I know I'm going to have this side down here, and then I kind of want this approximately like that, and I think I want, I'm debating, yeah, I think I want the brown to show, or the wild wheat. So I'm going to push it up and see. I want like approximately, yeah, I want like approximately 1/2 inch. So let's start there because we always can cut more, we can't cut less. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut 1/2 inch. So line that up, cut that. There you go. See what that gives us. And then of course we'll have to cut a little bit out on the sides too. I just want to make sure I like that, and I do. And then on the side, I probably will also do 1/2 inch. Maybe a little bit less because I just want to make sure. Yeah, I'll do a little bit less. So I think this is 1/2 inch, right? So I'm just gonna literally move this down. Oh, there are still little rulers here. I'll do this to start off with, and then I can see again if I want to add more, I can add more. Scooch that over. Let's put that down to see if we like that. So I'll have to come up, and I'm glad I didn't take too much because this is exactly what I want. This is perfect. I might actually take a teeny tiny sliver off the top just because we do have a lot of the blue showing at the sides, but I'm going to quickly do the other side offline and I'll be right back. All right, so I've adhered down our background, so the harbor cardstock and then our paper on top. So I'm going to go ahead and also stick down my photos because I matted them on that pretty Peacock photo mat. Let me move the light up a little bit more so you guys can see. So this is just a pretty Peacock cardstock that's part of that collection. So I'm gonna have this one right here in the center, and I'm pretty sure I want that there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and stick that down already. Just right here in the middle. Hopefully that's straight. Okay, and then my photos on the right hand side, I'm gonna kind of put them down, not overlapping, but a little bit in like a collage format. So I just want that here, here, and then I got these little horizontal, I think I want something like this because I don't want too much covered up, but you see enough still of that. I might scooch this up actually. There we go. Okay, like that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and adhere all that down. All right, so we've got all our pictures adhered down. I did go ahead and add my journaling because I tend to always forget that just here at the bottom because we had a little story how we got to this place. So I wanted to add that here because I was kind of thinking on how I was going to do the embellishments, and I don't have a lot of room for adding this full story. So that's just something I printed on some of that adhesive tape and just stuck it down here. So for my embellishments, I kind of off camera distressed them a little bit more just because I wasn't entirely sure how far I wanted to go with certain things, and I added a couple of things. So for the darker blue ones, so the Lost Lagoon and the Pretty Peacock, I actually added this, hang on, white embossing paste from Stampin' Up, and I'm quickly just going to show you what I did. So on some of them it's a little bit more clear than other ones. I'm going to take one of the lighter blue ones because I just wanted to see when it dries how it would look like, and it's not like super opaque, but it looks like this, and I just took a random little brush I had and dipped my brush into the paste directly, and I wanted it just merely focused on the center. And I'm actually glad this is dry because I'm hoping with like maybe a second coat you will see the white a little bit better, because I do like the effect of seeing that white poke through. So I'm just adding that to the middle and kind of fanning it out, and I like how that looks and it catches the light really nicely. So I'm just gonna put that to the side, and I did the same with the darker ones. And on some, again, you can see the white paste a bit better. On some, it's more like the glitter, but the glitter itself is also really pretty. So I don't really mind that the white kind of dries up a little bit. Just like that. I think that looks really, really nice. I'm gonna put that to the side. And then the other thing I added, let me close this. Always make sure to close these really well because they dry out fast. And so the other thing I added was on the little beige or crumb cake coral pieces, I added some of this metallic enamel effect, and see how like beautifully that catches the light too. And I really like how that the gold comes back in this wild wheat color. So I just went ahead and added that to our little pieces. I kept the white sand dollars plain just because I did want these as almost like little grounding spots for all our elements that do have color. And then the last thing I did is I just took some pretty Peacock ink, and it's maybe hard to see on camera, but I stamped this just kind of haphazardly on these like coral reef pieces. You can kind of see little darker elements. And of course, when this dries, it dries a little bit lighter because I just wanted to see how everything would look like. And I did the same on the little seaweed pieces. So it's slightly darker at the end. I might add a little bit because it did definitely dry down a lot lighter. I don't even know if you can see that on camera too well. So I'm just gonna scooch this piece over, and we're gonna start working on our left page. And so I'm gonna start just adding some pieces to build our clusters, because I'm just gonna have one up on top here and then one here at the bottom, because I do want some space for maybe adding a title. I'm not like entirely sure yet where I'm gonna go with this, but I do want our clusters to be like quite big. And I'm gonna kind of like fan them out a little bit. So first I'm gonna build our base pieces. So I definitely want a lot of these like little coral reef elements. And then we also have a lot of the seaweed pieces that I'm just going to tuck in and behind. Okay, so I've gone ahead and just sped up this next piece because you'll just see me moving all these little pieces around to make sure that both our clusters are balanced, even though I do want them pretty heavy. Like I want to create pretty large clusters to fill up our page, especially because in this right hand corner it's actually just pretty blank white space. However, I do want it to feel balanced without too symmetrical, if you know what I mean. So like for these starfish, for example, you'll see I actually do have the same quantity in each little cluster, but I do want them like in different areas of the cluster so it doesn't feel too symmetrical on both sides. But you'll see kind of my process. I'm kind of taking things away, putting things back just to feel. And also my advice for when you're creating like bigger clusters like this is I often just take some, or I sometimes walk away from it and come back just to see that it still feels balanced and nice. So some of the elements within the clusters, I also popped up on some foam tape just because it creates a better level of dimension. Otherwise, everything feels very flat to the page. Like I think all of the starfish are popped up on some foam tape because I just like how that looks. And then it doesn't feel like the whole cluster is just flat on the page. So for our right hand page, we do also want to create a couple of clusters there too, but I just want them a lot smaller because I do want to add some journaling that I've adhered to this little sticker from the sticker sheet. And I liked how that looks because I was able to just print it off some clear shipping labels and then just like adhere it right above the little lines. So this doesn't really say a lot, it just says the date and place where we were because I didn't adhere that to or add that to our journaling down below. That was more just a story of where we were and what happened. And what I liked about this sticker is that I added some of the coral reef elements I still have left. And I like how that kind of created these like 3 little circle elements together. So I think it just tied this cluster in really nicely. And I like the 3 colors together with that sticker. You will see that in a later clip, I've moved that Lost Lagoon coral reef slightly more over the journaling spot because otherwise there was kind of like a blank spot in that sticker element. So I'm just adding whatever I had left. I had a couple starfish left and that the coral reef elements. And then I tucked some of the seaweed behind there. Some of the starfish, again, I popped up on some foam tape and just glued those down just so it has a little bit more dimension in our little cluster that we created. So I wanted this one to just be a little bit smaller than the other side, and to have that visual triangle, I did go ahead and add a tiny cluster here. You'll see me go and add like 2 little blue coral reefs here on the left hand side, because I loved how you see how on the left hand side that cluster now almost like flows over to the other page, and then I'll add like a really small element to the bottom of that right hand page too. So there's just like that visual triangle you're following across both layouts. And I know now it looks maybe like a lot, but when you'll have this in your 3-ring binder, it's not like these pages are like right flush next to one another. So I just really loved how everything turned out, and especially with the gold foil and the that white embossing paste, as well as your just the fact that you stuck up some of these elements on dimensionals. It just creates a lot of texture and dimension to this page. It's hard to show that on camera, but I'll have some shots on my Instagram where you'll see this a lot better. I also added this little sticker that says a special date just because I wanted to add stickers on the left hand side, and that way it ties everything in nicely. For my title, I'm going to use the Documenting a Day stamp set from from Stampin' Up, and I stamped the day word sentiment in Pretty Peacock and then just fussy cut that out. And then on top of that, you'll add like whatever you want to build off of the title. On the left-hand side, I went ahead and added a couple of these word sentiments that were on the sticker sheet in the Lost Lagoon, Wild Wheat, and Pretty Peacock, just because otherwise I felt with the title up on top on like that top right corner, it was starting to feel a little bit imbalance. What I'm showing here is I just feel like that ties in everything nicely. So I like that, so I went ahead and just adhere those down right here in that left corner. And then I'm going to also pop up our title on some foam tape, again, just to create a little bit more dimension. All right, so I've got our title down. So the only thing we still need to add is the A Perfect, or whatever you want to add to the little sentiment. Wait, where is A Perfect? Here we go. I think I want to add it to the outer portion of that. I can find our little block here. And I think I'm going to do it in the same color because we've got a lot of colors going on. I think otherwise it's going to be a bit much. I always don't love stamping directly on a page, but we're going to go for it. So always first test it out on just a piece of paper. So let's do that right here. Okay, that worked pretty well. So I'm going to just scooch this to the side a little bit. And then what's good about the Stampin' Up like ink pads is they're so juicy. Like you just got to make sure you just don't, and I'm sorry, I'm going to probably be in the frame here a little bit. Okay, now just press it down so the ink can absorb. I hope that's good. Yes, that is good. I do want to say that is slightly crooked, but oh well. I'm probably gonna now keep looking at that fact that it's slightly crooked. It should have been down a little bit, but oh well, that's fine. And then I'm just gonna put that to the side, close this up, move this over. So we kind of got all our pieces down. I'm just gonna quickly look at the sticker sheet if there's anything else. I kind of do like this little guy, but I think it's gonna be a bit much, I think, even though I really do like that there. I'm just gonna put it down. Don't know if I want it all the way up or there. I kind of like that. I'm not gonna put it all the way down. I just need to look at it for a little bit and see if I like it. But What we are going to add are kind of like the final pieces, which are these embellishments. So we got Tinsel Gems 3-pack, which includes Lost Lagoon. So we have that one. And then we have this one, which has Daffodil Delight Clear Opal Round Assortment. And hang on, I have one more. Okay, I found the last pack I was looking for because it has that pretty peacock in there, Tinsel Gems 4-pack. So a couple of these were kind of loose in the package. What I'm going to do is I think I'm going to do a little bit of everything. So some of these were kind of loose in there. So I don't know if other people experience this too when they arrive. So I just kind of took a couple of them out of there. The dark ones, see, they don't have the glue back on the back of this. So I'm just going to add like a tad bit of glue. Oh, this glue is kind of, let me wipe that off. And I'm going to add the darker pieces to the darker elements too, just because I kind of like that look. I'll show you right now what I mean with that. So I'm just going to add some glue and I'm going to add them right here. And on camera, you might not see that too good, but I do really like just that little bit of extra texture it gives these darker pieces. Do these all not have glue? Oh, like this one does. Actually just gonna add that to our little title here, I think. And then does this one have glue? This one also has glue. I don't know why these were loose then. Just gonna add it on top. And then I got another one of these dark ones. I'm gonna add to this little guy. Okay. I got one more of these dark ones. I'm gonna add that right here. Okay, and then I got a couple of the Daffodil Delights ones. Does this have glue? It does. I don't know why these were then loose. I'm just gonna add them kind of sporadically. I do like working with like different colors. It's kind of similar to working with, you know, different colors within your clusters. Can't feel if these have glue or not. Let's just hope for the best. If they all fall off when I lift my page, I'll know. And then there's a couple of these like clear ones that I'm going to add as well. Oh, this one doesn't have glue. There we go. And then I'm just adding these throughout our page here. Oh no, I got kitty hair stuck. That's why you don't let your cats in the craft room, I guess, but I can't do it. They love just laying here on the page as well, so I know often I do get some hair. Let me add this one. And then I'm gonna add this one to the top piece right here. Especially the clear ones, since they're not like super in your face, I don't mind adding a bit more of these. And I just love the effect that has. There is one more thing I wanted to add. Let me look at, so we also have the lagoon ones. Oh, these are so pretty too. I might just add like one or two. Oh, look how pretty that is. I can kind of sometimes go overboard with these gems, but I just love them so much. And then one more here, and then I do think I need to draw the line here. Just maybe one more here. Okay, so the only thing I'm still thinking of adding, just because I do like building on these little clusters, is this white opal. It's kind of like a liquid glue, but they create really beautiful little like almost pearls. And I'm just gonna add one here. We can see how that looks. Because it is very faint, like it's not like too bright or anything, but it catches the light really beautifully. Let me add one up on top here, so hopefully you can see that. I'll bring the page up closer in a bit, especially with these like clear dots. I think that looks really pretty. I don't want to go overboard, but sometimes when I look back on my page, the ones where I did add like a lot of everything, they're just so nice to look at. I'm just gonna like a small one here. By the way, with this, you do have to be super careful that you give this more than enough dry time, because I've in the past not done it, and then it gets stuck on like your photos or whatever, and it will take the photo off, if that makes sense. Like it'll take off that front or that first piece. So you definitely have to give this enough time to dry, and it actually does take a while to get like a little round hard dot, so you can put it into your little sleeves. I'm actually gonna cover this with white. I know that's kind of weird, but I'm not loving this gold that I accidentally dropped. Okay. I think that looks great. I'm just gonna flop down the page so the little circles or the dots I just made drop down a bit better. I know that looks a bit weird. Okay, I think we're done. I'm actually gonna adhere this down. I do like it. So I am gonna pull up the page here so you guys can see all our little elements. So we got our little pearl dots in here, our little gems. We have, if it catches the light, it's so pretty. Look how beautiful that is with the gold foiling and our white embossing paste. That looks so nice. So that one, and then our, oops, this is coming a little bit loose, but I can probably glue that down a bit better. And then we got our journaling and our other little clusters here. I love how this page looks. That looks so nice. So yeah, this is the final result of our beach or sunset double spread layout using the Everyday Happiness collection as well as the Seaside Wishes. The dies are still in stock, so I will link them down below. And that's actually mostly what I used. I think for the little sea stars, you could either, what I would do is I would honestly just cut them out of the Lost Lagoon color, and that creates the same effect. And then if it is on solid color, I would probably add a little bit of like some like gold foil or something along the edges maybe of these two to create like an extra level of interest. But yeah, I really am happy how this page turned out. I will have some photos up on my Instagram in a little bit. I hope you guys enjoyed this layout. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave me a comment. If you like my videos, please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe because that really helps me out. Until the next video, bye everyone.